My name is Kerry Morrison. I participated in the Coro Fellowship Program in Los Angeles in 1981. It was, all right, we got to stop. I can't think with her in the room. What is your purpose as the class of 1981? We grappled for the better part of a day trying to determine what it was that we were to do after we left Coro. As I think about the direction that Coro is heading, what are you going to do? Oh God. Can she be eating a pretzel on camera? Anyone who's a parent will understand what we had to do. Okay. I am making a contribution in my career as a parent and as a member of my community to improve and better the world for our children. Was that one okay, or should I do that last question one more time?
Ladies and gentlemen, Mackenzie Morrison.
Imagine me seeing that video for the first time in 24 years. Sure, it's always fun to see yourself as a baby, right? But I couldn't take my eyes off my mom. She definitely has that thing called presence. When she is on the screen or in the room, she draws us in. At her core, my mom is an advocate. She is probably best known as an advocate for Hollywood, where she has committed her last 20 years. And for those of you close to her, you will also know that she's an advocate for our homeless friends. I remember going with my mom on visits to secured facilities to visit recently sheltered people from the streets of Hollywood. Dark, bleak, and locked facilities. Not much natural light, not much hope. She would sit with Tori and others and talk about anything and play countless rounds of cards. I remember asking my mom one afternoon, "Why do you do this? You are so busy and you just gave up your Saturday." Not surprisingly, many of these same people ended up at our Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner tables. She wanted them to be at a family table. She wanted them to know they belonged. If the criteria for this award has anything to do with compassion, or for believing in this incredible place we call Hollywood, and of course, being a great mom, you made a great choice. Ladies and gentlemen, my mom, Kerry Morrison.
Wow. You know, that videotape has been sitting on my closet shelf for 24 years. It was a 1-inch Sony reel. And Ken Shawkins, bless his heart, I was in one of those Coro vignettes for the 1992 Coro dinner. And for some reason, I insisted on bringing Mackenzie to the video shoot. And it obviously didn't work very well, right? And at the dinner, I showed up hoping that some clip with her made it into the 1992 dinner, and it didn't. But it did this time. So there's been a lot of, wow, just like, you know, you see your life kind of woven together. That was 24 years ago. And then for the fellows here in the room tonight, I remember, and Robert Kaplan was in my class, the dinner. 35 years ago, I was a fellow. And that was the year at the Beverly Wilshire, we interviewed Tom Brokaw on stage. And I was one of the interviewers. I absolutely could not eat. I was, you know, just beyond frightened. And I remember the board saying that some guy named Thornton Bradshaw was in the room, and he was super important because he was the CEO of Arco, and I just thought, well, you know, I just should go home now. But so all these years later, I have to tell you this means a lot to me because you know what? Hashtag Coro matters. Coro, I am who I am because of Coro. And all the things that you kind of heard about already, Coro changes lives. You come into Coro thinking you know everything, and you've got, you know, your ideas about what the world is like. And if Coro does it right, you go through an intellectual meltdown by about December, January, because you realize you know squat. And you're thrust into these internships, which are amazing. It's like a time warp in public policy, where you're in a labor union, and a political campaign, and a government, and a social service, and you're having it would take decades in the public arena to have the experiences that you're having, and you're hearing about all your fellows as well. And you remember those experiences with the Longshoremen and the Irvine Company and the city of Long Beach, and I was on the Reagan for President campaign as a Democrat, so that was, and he won, so. But what I was trying to say in that little video that you never got to hear, I was trying to tell the story about when we were in Coro. Our training director, Jim Schoening, who unfortunately could not be here tonight, he locked us all in a room, and he had the 12 of us take whatever time it took to come up with what was our mission statement after Coro. And so the 12 of us had to come to consensus, and I remember our mission statement was to make a contribution. And that has stayed with me my whole life, because I kind of believe like there's three kinds of people in this world. There are those who take away from the situation, they detract. Then there are those who are in the middle, they're kind of, neutral. And then there are those who contribute. And everyone in this room tonight are contributors. You're all contributors because you're here, you support this. You support this organization, you support the future leadership of Los Angeles. I really commend the board of Coro. I was on the board for many, many years. I chaired it for several years. It's a tough board to be on because you're talking to people to invest in Coro, and the return on investment may not happen for 10 or 20 or 35 years. You know, you're asking people to invest, companies and individuals, in the promise of leadership for the future. And because we all care for this city so much, that's why we're here, and we know that it does make a difference. So finally, I'm filled with huge gratitude, just huge gratitude for my fellow class of 81 who contributed mightily to tonight's dinner. And Robert, I thank you. To the rest of them, I'll send everybody a note. I have to do a shout out to my Hollywood peeps. Can I hear it? I've got members of the Sunset and Vine board and the Hollywood Entertainment District board and the chairs of those two boards, Fabio Conti and Monica Yamada, in the room. I've got my staff and my colleagues. Thank you for coming to Hollywood. This is a beautiful facility, and you're in the Sunset and Vine bid. And then finally, my family. So let me just say, having Mackenzie introduce me tonight, what a special a moment. And yeah, you can see that I gave her a bottle to calm her down here. Now she gets a big glass of red wine. My son, Zach, flew out from New York yesterday, where he's working in Manhattan, and I'm so thrilled. We're going to do our little thing tomorrow. We're going to go to Philippe's for lunch, because that's our favorite thing to do. And Zach, I love you so much, and I'm so proud of you, and I'm so glad you're here. And then Mike and I were both going like, oh, tomorrow's our anniversary. And we were just adding it up. It's actually 38 years tomorrow. The last thing I will say about my husband, he's the one at USC who saw that little brochure that said, come hear about this thing called Coro back in 1980. And he supported me. I had a great job. I had to quit that job and go on a stipend. He's been my greatest supporter, my greatest fan, my best friend, a great dad. I love you so much. And thank you all. It means so much.